streams have started, and recording is in progress. So, who is Omotayo Dada? Omotayo Dada is a product manager and a business analyst in fintech with experience in delivering payment solutions to customers across Africa. She has successfully delivered POS, Android, and web applications and infrastructure in various African countries, enabling payments and other financial operations to happen easily. Some of which are mobile money implementation, card payment acceptance, card scheme certification, terminal aggregation monitoring systems, agency banking implementation, transaction authentication, and the list goes on. Other than work, Omotayo enjoys going out to eat at restaurants alone and with her fellow food lovers, the clique called the Foodholics. She also enjoys watching football, and she is an Arsenal fan. It's my pleasure to welcome to our virtual stage today, Omotayo. Super great to have you, Omotayo. How are you doing today?
Hi, Favour. Doing great. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining and having me here. I really, really hope everyone gets to have fun and enjoy this session. Yeah. So I'm just going to start. And please pardon me if I'm not very good at this. I promise to improve, as we go on. So Favour did a brief introduction of Omotayo, but I also did an introduction, but I tried to keep my own introduction more on not work-wise, because Favour did all the fintech, PM, Wala side. But my name is Omotayo Adeola Dada. I'm 5'7". I always like to include my height because one of my friends, I 6'4", calls me short, and I am not short. So I'm 5'7". I'm also the first of 3 children. I am an extrovert. I'm one of those people that, easily talk everywhere. But I'm also a hard guy, but also a soft guy, if you know what I mean, like a soft hard guy. I play volleyball semi-professionally. I say semi-professionally because I actually play with the professional team. But whenever we actually have matches to play professionally, I always chicken out. But I train with the team, so semi-professionally. And I enjoy watching football. Favour mentioned that already. I also enjoy horse riding. I learned horse riding and I try to do that often. And I'm hoping to take up playing polo soon. So I have a quick activity for us now. I want to get to know, I know we've asked where we're from and what we hope to get from this course, but I have, would I say question? I want everyone to ask or to answer. And I'm going to be sharing a link on the chat right now. Just give me a second. 1 second. So I want us to go to this link, guys, and just answer the question that is there. And it's, what have you always wanted to do or learn to do, but you haven't? Because, quite a number of times, whenever I say I go horse riding, people are like, oh, how did you learn that? Where did you start? I'm like, yeah, I've always I like animals and I've always liked horses. And I just decided to do it, right? Oh, Jane said play the violin. That's good. I actually played the violin, interestingly. I learned in high school and I used to be in my school band. Everyone used to think it was the nerdish, the nerdish instrument, because the cool guys are the drums and the guitars. But violin is cool as well. You should pick it up. It's very easy to learn. It's just 4 strings. Let me see. Oh, someone said swimming. Everybody's going to say, do you know the funny thing? Yeah. Swimming. I was in swim team in my uni. I think I'm very athletic and, like I said, I'm an extrovert, right? So I like to do a lot of things. So someone said swimming. I haven't swum in years, but that's interesting. I think you should go for it. Definitely do it. Someone says skipping. Skipping. Okay, that's very interesting. I mean, it's very easy. Skipping ropes are like 500 naira. Someone said anything sports. Depending on where you're living, it helps if you want to do something with sports to look for a group like a stadium or a mini stadium or whatever, somewhere around, and then just join in, right? Someone said I would like, or two people said they would like to go skydiving. I would like to go skydiving as well. I want to go skydiving and scuba diving. I'm definitely going to make that happen sometime soon. That's Adele. She said, if I die, I die. I'm with you on that, sis. I am definitely with you. Someone said play the bass guitar. Like I said, guitar guys were seen as the cool guys in high school. But that's a very cool instrument. You should learn to play. I think there are videos on YouTube that can help with that. So I said driving, as in driving a car. That's like the simplest thing to learn how to do. Find let me not say find a mechanic or just go to a driving school and learn. It's something that you can learn within a couple of days, you know. Someone said flying a plane. That's a very, very big one. Interestingly, growing up, I wanted to be an astronaut and fly a rocket. I feel like too many of us or too many children wanted to do that growing up. I feel like I can still do it. Let's see if this PM thing does not really work out. The switch to rocket engineering. Learning to play the keyboard. I feel like anyone that wants to learn how to play the keyboard or play like other musical instruments, or someone said learning how to make pastries, should just go buy the instrument or try it out. I feel like so many times we limit ourselves, and then don't actually put ourselves out there. And a lot of these things are, thanks to the internet, very, very accessible. And I just want to encourage everyone to always put ourselves out there and just do everything you want to do. You know, sky's the limit. Quite literally, me and my skydiving guys, the sky is literally the limit. Okay. Okay, so I missed some in the chat as well. Learning how to bake, jet skiing. Interesting. Those sound like fun. So let's dive into today's thing. So our agenda for today is we're going to look briefly into what business requirements are and why it is important in product development, and how to work effectively with business teams, and not just business teams, really all teams. Also, we're going to look at value, risk, and how it impacts product backlog and development. So I'm going to try and keep it as short and sweet as possible, so we're not too overwhelmed and we actually pick up one or two things. Cool. What are business requirements? Business requirements are specifications or characteristics of stakeholder or organization's needs or wants, right? Sorry, can you give me 1 second? Okay, sorry for that. So in simpler English, business requirements are basically what your customer or organization wants, right? And then in this case, as a product manager, if you're also the CEO of the organization or whatever, business requirements are what you're trying to achieve or what your organization vision is, right? And products and systems are actually built to satisfy business requirements, right? I'm going to try and give an example. For instance, Facebook is a product, an amazing product that a lot of us have interacted with. And the business requirements for Facebook will be to create a platform where people can easily communicate with each other, right? Can easily reach out to their loved ones in far places and share, information or data or whatever they want to share with each other. And this is basically what Zuckerberg would have said they wanted to achieve, and then the product was built out of those requirements. Sorry, 1 second again. Okay. So my third point here says business requirement feeds into product requirements. Like the Facebook example I gave, based on what the business wanted to do, which is create a platform, create a product, right? Or I don't want to use the word product, but create something to allow people interact and mingle with each other, or talk to each other easily. That's what fed into what became Facebook. So business requirements are different from product requirements, right? Business requirements is the end goal, is what we want to achieve, while product requirements speak more onto how we're going to achieve it. Okay. Please, if you have any questions as we go on, just drop it on the chat box and I'll look at it. So like I just said, business requirements speak to what the objectives and goals are, while product requirements speak to how the features the system or the product will have, right? So like I'm going to use Facebook again as an example. Facebook's business requirements will be to create a platform, or a platform where users or people or friends and family can easily interact with each other, while Facebook's product requirements will now speak more onto how there will be a feed, how you'll be able to add friends, how you'll be able to have messages and all that. So product requirements need to satisfy the business requirements. So if that's why product requirements are stemmed out of business requirement, because you're bringing out features of the system to satisfy the end goal, which is the product requirement, or the business requirement rather. Sorry. Okay, so let us think of some products that we interact with today. I know I mentioned Facebook, but I want everyone else to think of one other product that we've interacted with and share examples of what we think the business requirement is and the product requirements. Even if it's just, I know there are like multiple requirements that each product might have, but if we can just bring out one and say maybe a quick teller, for instance, this is the one business requirement and this is one product requirement. Can we do that quickly in the chat, please? I'm going to give us like 2 minutes for that. Guys, waiting. Okay, cool. Someone said Uber. Yeah, so Uber's business requirements would be to help people get to their destination. Yes, that's very broad, but yeah, I think that goes. And product requirements would be the application. Yeah, cool. So I feel like you get the idea, right? Does anyone else want to give us any other idea? Amos, you said Piggyverse product requirement is to save money. I feel like that's more of a business requirement for them. And I might be wrong, but I feel like for Piggyverse, for instance, what their business requirement, and that might be a typo from you, I don't know, but please clarify what their business requirements might be, would be to help people save money securely and earn maybe interest might not even be part of the original one, just help people save money, right? Then the product requirements now be, hey, allowing them to credit an account or a wallet to them, allowing them to keep the money in that wallet and not be able to take it out and all that. So I don't know if that's a typo or if you meant business requirements, but okay. Omomi says WhatsApp business requirements is for users to be able to chat with each other. Yes. And then the product requirement to be, how would the users, who am I chatting with? You know, is it going to, that's where now the trying to get access to your phone contact comes in. Are you going to be using a web platform or an app? Or how is the chat going to be? Is it, all those things, those other things are the product requirements. Cool. So since we've gotten some examples from people, we're going to move on. Products should be built to satisfy business requirements, right? And now we're speaking on why business knowledge is important in product development. Oh, someone else brought another example. CUDA, for customers to be able to conduct fast, free, and secure financial transactions. Yeah. Cool. I think we all understand, or the majority of us that are actually responding understand. So why is business knowledge important in product development? Products should or are actually built to satisfy business requirements. The whole point of a product is to solve a problem or a need, and like I said, an end goal of an organization or a customer. And that is what we need to keep in mind as product managers. We're not just building to build fine things that's for building sake, but to actually satisfy something. There's a need, there's a want, there's an end goal that we want to achieve, and the product should be built to satisfy that. And that's one of the important things why us as product managers need to understand the business aspect of it. Because if you don't know what you're trying to achieve, you're not able to take the proper steps to achieve that, right? So business knowledge helps PMs build for the users and not just create useless products. There was a time quite recently, well, not very recently, I did a course on human-centered design. I think that's what it was called. And basically what I learned, or what it was about, is how to build for the users. You see, a lot of us as product managers sometimes build for ourselves and not really for the business or for the users. Let me give an example of something I read. There was a village, right, that did not have easy access to water, and the closest stream was like something meters away from the main village, right? And people had to walk all the way. So this team came and said, hey, let's create this borehole or something. And they created this water plant closer to the village, but they laid out certain rules, or they created it in a certain way, whereas there was a minimum number size of, so let's say like a 50-liter keg, for instance, was you can either get a 10-liter keg for 10 naira or 50-liter keg for 25 naira, right? Now they launched it with that without actually keeping in mind that people cannot really carry 50-liter keg right, easily, and just taking 10 liters for 10 naira doesn't really make sense, especially for people in the village. So at the end of the day, people were still going all the way to the stream because they would rather take their 15 liters or two 10-liter kegs and go to the stream and get water than to spend 20 naira for two 10-liter kegs, or drag a 25-liter keg or 50-liter keg, that they couldn't really carry. So because they had solved the problem was to bring water closer to the people, but they hadn't solved it for the people that they were supposed to solve it for. I don't know if that makes sense. And it's important as PMs that when we're building, we're not just building for building sake, but we're actually building for the users, and we're taking into account the end goal, the business requirements, and business knowledge, or understanding what the business requirement is and who the users are, which is all part of the business requirements, is very important. to help us build products that are very useful. Business knowledge also helps build products to make maximum revenue, attract investors, and satisfy customer and organization needs. One of the major, in fact, we're all in this to make money and make revenue and make profit and earn a living, right? That might not be the primary reason why you're doing product management, but it's a very important reason. I'm sure you would agree with me. And we don't want to build products, and we've put in a lot of investment, not just financial, but physical, emotional, putting our time and everything, and we're not making revenue. We want to all make maximum revenue, and business knowledge helps a lot in that. It helps us with pricing, it helps us understand the market and know how to position our product, know how to build our product, knows the features to put into our product. I think we're going to talk more on that later on in the slides. Please, if you have any question as we go on, please drop it in the chat. I would always be looking at the chat to see. Okay. Why is business knowledge important in products development? This is what I was just speaking about. It helps us with essential skills. We need to be able to do market and competitor evaluation as a product manager. Before you launch or before you start building your product, or before you come up with a product strategy, you need to look at the market. Is someone else doing something I'm already doing, right? If they are, what are the things that they did wrong that I can learn from? What are the things that they did right that I can learn from? Okay, if my competitor is doing this, how much are they earning? How can I also play in that space and earn more? All these are not product knowledge really, but business knowledge. And if we just build products and we're not taking into account the business aspect of it, right, we're not able to, like I said, make as much revenue or generate revenue, which is a very, very important part. It also helps with monetization. So Ada asked if I could share the slides after the session. I think Favor will be able to help with that. Monetization of our products is very important, especially with certain product types. And when we have and understand the way the business works, we're able to price properly. Like the example I gave, I think one of the things that was done wrong was that the product was not priced properly. They had solved the problems for the people by bringing water closer to the town, but they didn't set the pricing. Maybe perhaps if the 10-liter, there was a better pricing for the 10-liter kegs, and it was going to encourage people to use the service more. And some people use a Trojan horse to go into the market, and they go into the market, and I don't want to give an example of a very popular or what's it called? You know what? Let me just give the example. Opay used a Trojan horse to launch into the fintech market because they came in with ride hailing, right? And delivery and all that. And lots of people got into the Opay buzz, and they got all these multiple hundreds and thousands of bikes and all that. But their core of their business was actually fintech, was actually to provide payments, services to people. And because they were able to go into it, and because of that Trojan horse that they were able to use, and that's a very amazing strategy by them to actually. And if I want to say that their PM has a very amazing knowledge of the business and the industry, and was able to say, hey, this has nothing to do with the product, our core product itself, but if we do this, because of the kind of business, we're trying to reach the grassroots, we're trying to reach a certain demographic of people, we're going to be able to place ourselves better. So it helps with marketing, it helps with monetization, you're able to price your product properly and better. It helps with strategy. As a product manager, you have your product strategy that you're coming up with. And once you have knowledge of how the business is or the business requirements, you're able to place your product in a very strategic position in the market. Yeah, so like I said, all these skills that business knowledge helps with, they feed into building strategic product features. Now, even if you have a base product that's 20 million people have, if you have a very good understanding or knowledge of the business, right, you're able to have strategic features, because there are some products that just have a lot of things and a lot of useless things, but you still see that there's similar products that have just one, but that one feature that is there is doing so much better than the product with 20 million features that are not exactly suited for the market or suited for that particular business. So understanding the business or business knowledge or having a deep understanding of business requirements helps feed into building strategic product features, because as a PM, you're able to make certain decisions and the best decisions for your products, basically. Right. So how do I work effectively with business teams? I feel like this transcends beyond just business teams, but to the full how do I work effectively with teams? I would say one thing that is very important is to ensure you're aligned, right? Because something that happens quite a number of times is that the product team has one vision and the business team has another one. But if there's an alignment between teams, as product managers, I don't expect that we're experts in everything. And this is why we work with people. We need to know everything, actually, but we cannot be experts in it. We cannot be subject matter experts in everything. And we always need to work with SMEs and to make sure we are aligned in terms of our goals. If the project team is thinking in one direction and the business team is thinking in another, there's not even going to be synergy in the team. There's, like I said, we're supposed to get business requirements to feed into the product requirements. If there's no understanding of what we're trying to achieve together, it's either the product does not satisfy the business need or the business team does not gather the right requirements for the product. I'm thinking of an example I can give to make it easier to understand. I'll think of something. So we need to ensure that everyone in the team, both the business, product, engineering, understand the product strategy and vision. And this comes after the business and product teams have aligned as to what is we're going to do or what our organizational goals are, right? So if our goal is to, let me look at the chat to pick one of the ones that we said earlier on. For instance, someone said Kuda's business requirement is for customers to be able to conduct fast, free, and secure financial transactions, right? That's a very great example. So if that's our business requirement, that's our organizational goal, right? The product manager needs to be able to come up with a way to be able to provide those services. What are the financial transactions we're going to be doing? It says financial, right? Yes, financial transactions. The product team will now need to look for how to make the financial transactions happen fast, make the financial transactions happen free, and make them happen secure, since those are the business requirements. And then based off of those, we'll come up with a strategy and say, hey, for our products, right, for it to be fast, it means we're going to need to go and meet MasterCard and tell them that for every Kuda customer, this is how it's going to be, right? For it to be free, that means we're going to do our routing internally and actually build the systems so that we're not relying on outside systems and that we have to pay for, right? Or we pay for it and we revert the cost. The product team has to come up with a strategy. And for it to be secure, that means we need to have PCI DSS certification or something, or build our product up to PCI DSS standards, which are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we need to make sure that both the business team and the product team understand that. So even when they are speaking to customers, because apart from even giving us the requirements, these same teams also sell the product. So if we're not aligned in terms of what the strategy, in terms of what the vision and all that is, there's going to be a lot of, this, I don't know the word to use, between the teams. How do you work effectively with business teams? You have to be both a manager and a leader. Yes, a manager is someone that sets the visions and sets the strategy and says, this is how we're going to do this. But a leader is someone that inspires other people to do those things without necessarily saying, you must do this. Do you get what I mean? So apart from being firm and saying, hey guys, this is how we're going to do this, at the same time, you also need to be able to inspire people to work or to want to do the work and want to do work with you and want to be a part of your team. And that's one thing that a lot of people lack, So instead of saying, I know what we're doing, I know what I'm doing, this is how it's supposed to be done. You might know it, but there's better ways to approach things like that and say, hey, okay, this is what I think should be done. What do you think? And then just have a discussion. And that way you're not just being a manager, but also being a leader. And trust me, one of the things or one of the important things with working with people, not just business teams, is soft skills. And if that is lacking, you might be the most brilliant, the most top talked about, the top product manager in the world. You're not going to be able to get good product or good output from your team because of that lack of soft skills. So being a leader is more soft skills, while being a manager is more hard skills. Is being able to set timelines, set goals, set all that. But being a leader is being able to inspire people and make people want to do those things for you. And now you also have to ensure that there's collaboration between the teams. So the teams are not working in isolation, right? Make sure the business team and the product team understand each other and want to work with each other and are friends, really. If you're like me, you like to make friends. So I feel like product managers, we need to make friends with everybody. Okay, so please, if you have any question up to this point, I feel like I'm going too fast. If you have any questions, please let me know. Please drop it on the slide as we go. Yeah. So, value, risk, and how it impacts product backlog and development. First of all, what's product backlog, right? Product backlog contains a list of features to be built in a product as drawn up in the product requirement document, arranged in the way they are to be implemented. Now, we've spoken about how their business requirements, how that is the end goal, how these business requirements feed into the product requirements. Now, once a product requirement has been drawn and agreed upon by the team that this is what we want to build and this is how we're going to build it, then we come up with a list of features or user stories, and all those things are the technical things. We come up with a list of features that needs to be built. Let's take Facebook, for instance. We'll say there needs to be a feed, or there needs to be a sign up, right? There needs to be a login. There needs to be like a home feed. There needs to be messages. There needs to be where you can see your friends. There needs to be an ability where you can add your friends. There needs to be also be able to search for friends. All those things are features, right, of the product, of the Facebook product, right? And in the backlog, what usually happens is these features are listed and they are prioritized. And prioritization is basically arranging them in the way they want to be implemented. The one that you want to be implemented first, the ones that are super critical, the ones that are not, the ones that are needed for your MVP. Just arrange them the way that you expect or the team is supposed to implement them. And prioritization is very important in product backlog and development. And, in recently, well, not recently, but product management has been getting this buzz. This agile product management has been getting buzz recently, or in very recent times. And one of the major reasons is that it just makes sense, right, for product to be built in an agile format. Because think about it, we have multiple methodologies, but two major ones, which is waterfall and agile. And waterfall basically says you cannot deploy until you've built everything in your product. But agile says, hey, all you need to do is get your lowest minimum feature and move forward with that. For instance, one of the I'm going to use the CODA business requirement again, which is to be able to conduct fast, free, and secure financial transactions. Financial transactions can span from withdrawals, transfers, bills payments, pay other payments, right? So we can say, hey, because we know that it's going to take us 5 years to be able to have all these things, instead of waiting to 5 years to do this, how about we do transfers first and let people start using transfers? As they're using transfers, we can then work on having bill payments added to it. And prioritization helps here, because for products like that, for instance, once you've listed the list of features you need to have, you say, hey, what's the most important for us to get out? Transfers. Transfers is on top. What comes next? Bills payments. Things like that. And prioritization is influenced by a lot of factors, some of which are opportunity and market placement, risk and compliance, value or complexity. I'm just going to touch on these ones briefly. So opportunity or market placement. I know earlier when I spoke about competitor analysis, and how as a PM, one of the things business knowledge helps you with is to really evaluate where you are vis-a-vis your competitor. And when you're selecting your prioritization, one of the things that really influences that is the market placement and the opportunity that is in the market. Because sometimes we find that you can decide you want to buy some base features or you want to build because of quick time to market. You can decide that, oh, my competitors have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but they don't have this 7th feature. So I would like to go with this 7th feature first because I feel like it is a very important value that the market needs, that the business needs, that has not yet been delivered, that no one has done, right? And based on that opportunity or value in the market that you've seen, you're going to bring that task or that feature to be done before the other ones that you probably think are not as strategic, right? You also have risk or compliance, which is very, very, very important and critical in product development, especially in technology product development, because you don't want to expose your customers or your users to different risk. And in compliance, especially in financial technology, which is where I have my own stronghold or strong footing in, you don't want to expose your customers to unnecessary risk of fraud and all that. And there's also always regulation in different markets that you might be playing in. For instance, if you want to come and deploy or build a product for the Nigerian market, there are certain things or certain features that will be required of you by whatever regulator is for that particular space that you want to be in. So you need to also take that into account with your risk managers and your compliance team. We have people that are experts in that, are lawyers. They can read through the fine print and say, hey, before we deploy, we need to have this. If not, we'll be slammed with a fine, we'll be shut down or something. And that also really affects product backlog, because you can't say, oh, something that is required by your regulator as a compliance requirement, you're going to leave it till the next sprint or the next deployment or whatever. It's heavily and seriously impact our product backlog. They also have value or complexity. I think I also touched on this a little bit when I was talking about market placement. There's some features of in our product backlog that we might see that has more value than others, that we would move up, or one that has less that would move down. Or we can just see that, hey, this one is too complex this one is too complex for us to build now, and is not as needed or as required, right? So we can move it down, or say, hey, even though this thing is very complicated and to take us 5 weeks to build, it's something that is required by compliance, or is something that would avert a very serious risk on our customers, and then you have to place it higher. Yeah. So these are some of the things that influence product backlog and development. And overall, business requirements and business knowledge is a very, very critical part in product development. Our products should not even exist if we do not have a business requirement, if we do not have an end goal, that a problem we're trying to solve, a business problem we're trying to solve. And the fact that it's called business does not necessarily mean it is profit making. Profit making is good, but it just means that that's the end goal. That's the that's what we're trying to solve. That's the problem we're trying to solve. And every product should be trying to solve a problem. Every product should be having an end goal. If not, we're just we're just building for building's sake. Yeah. Do we have any questions? Guys, ask me questions, even if it's something I had not touched on, or you hoped I had spoken about and I didn't talk about. Please just let me know.
You can drop a comment in the chat or just raise your hand and get muted.
I'm sorry, did you say tagging along? Someone said tagging along. What does that mean? Okay. Is product requirement document part of product strategy? No. Okay, so your product strategy, your product requirement document is what features should be in your product, how your product should be. Like I said in the former slide, I said, well, business requirement says what you're trying to achieve. Product requirement says how you're trying to achieve it. Now, your product strategy also kind of speaks to how, but it doesn't speak necessarily to let me give you an example. So product requirements will be more of how the feature should be. If it's an app, if it's a bus, if your product, for instance, is to build a car, right? Your product requirements will say the car should have 4 tires, the car should have V6 engine, the car should have AC, and a screen, Android screen inside, should have reverse cameras, all those things. Those are your product requirements. Now, your product strategy would not just have what your product should look like, but also how you're going to market the product, what you think your projected revenues are, what you think, how you think you'd fare against competitors, things like that. So I would say, I don't want to say yes or no if it's a part, but they definitely are in synergy with each other. I don't know if my explanation makes sense. I'm sorry, you said what stage?
I think it's yes, at what stage?
Oh, or at what stage should we do a PRD? I feel like a PRD is always, your product requirement document is always going to be growing throughout the life cycle of your product, but you should definitely start before your product starts, because it's from your product requirement documents, you're going to know what you're building, right? So once you've gotten your business requirements, and you know what you're trying to achieve, you then start generating a product requirement document saying how you're going to achieve what you want to achieve. But because of, like I said, the way agile or the way product development generally works, you're going to keep improving. You're going to keep having version 3, version 4, version, you have your MVP and say, hey, this is what we're going to come up with first. This is what we're going to do. But your product is improving as well. You keep having improving on that. So you should definitely start once you have an understanding of what your business end goal is or your business requirements are. And before you start development, of course, you have to have your requirement document drawn. So that's when you should also have your strategy. And like your product requirement document, your product strategy also evolves with time, because the way you would want to place yourself in the market, the way you would project your revenues and all that now might not be the way you would need to do that next year or in the next few months. So they need to start at the beginning of, before you start actually building your product, and they evolve as well as your product evolves. Okay, Abdul, I don't know if you're satisfied with that answer. So Jane says a lot of these companies require MBA graduates as requirements. So would I need a degree in business to prove I understand business requirements to hiring managers? If not, how can I prove I'm capable of understanding business requirements? This is a very tricky question, a very tricky question. How do you prove you understand business requirements? I feel like any successful product manager needs to understand or understand business requirements. But as an entry level PM, it might be very tricky to prove. And to be honest, I feel like people can just come and speak English or write the exam and take certifications and really not understand until you have hands-on experience. So to be honest, I'm not sure how you can prove you understand business requirements, but I feel like you can also read a lot more and try to be a part of side projects as well, especially if you're entry level. Volunteer, intern with people. And so when you're actually speaking with hiring managers, you're able to give examples of things you've done, right? And say, hey, I worked with someone on this product, and this was what the business team or what the end goal or what the business requirements were. And this is what we came up with as the product team, right? And this was my role in that. And I mean, getting a degree always helps as well. We like all these fancy degrees in Nigeria. And I think generally, not just Nigeria. So Jen, I hope that helps. So Abdul said there's more version of product. Okay, I would say does a newer or an updated version of a product warrant a new PRD every time? Not every time. It depends on if your version or your new version you have was already accounted for in your original product requirements, right? So you might have envisioned and saying that, okay, for version 1, this is what we want to do, version 2, this is what you want to do, and version 3, and you already have that documented in your first PRD. And if you're still going to go with that, then by all means. But if you're coming up with a new requirement or a new strategy or new things you want to implement, then you definitely need to document that. Basically, if it has been documented before and you're just building off of what you have, you don't need to do a new one. But if it's something that you and your team have just come up with, then you definitely need to come up with a new requirement document. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, so Underline, I don't know if I pronounced your name properly. I don't personally have any internship opportunity, but I think Favor should be able to give us some insight into that. Favor, are you with us? Someone
yes,
is
yes, yes.
asking
I'm very much
about
with us.
opportunity for internship.
Yes, as regards internship opportunities, feel free to just check out Trefford.org and probably like just reach out to me after this call. We could just talk about how we can help in that case. But as at the moment, I can't say there's this internship opportunity like I can guarantee it's a very, very volatile space. How do I put it down? Very, very. There's a lot of opportunities coming and going every other day. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And apart from Trefford, you can also reach out to people in the industry that you know, actually in particular industries that you're interested in personally, and just always keep in touch and join communities as well. Many times whenever there are opportunities like that, people would always first think of people that they know or have interacted with, or that are a member of a community that they are part of. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, guys, does anyone have any more questions? I feel like I spoke very, very fast. And I really, really hope that we were able to, or I was able to pass messages across. I didn't want it to be too long and overwhelming and nobody gets anything or understands anything. So I really, really hope that I was able to pass information across and we were able to understand all the jargons I've been talking about since. So does anyone have any more questions, guys? Questions. I'm sorry, you said would there be a copy? I'm sorry, I don't understand. Excuse me, your question. Oh, I think Favor already said he was going to share the slides. So I think there'll be.
Yeah, for those that join session, for those that join session, you can copy the use your email. Yeah, so you get that via email.
Okay, and I think we have one question. Abdul said an MRD, is it part of business requirement? I'm sorry, what is an MRD?
Yeah, please just be as much as we use what's it called now? These terms, yeah, market requirements.
Market requirement documents. It depends on it can be a part of the business requirement documents. Yes, it can be. Because at the end of the day, you are trying to satisfy a particular set of users, and each market or each, you might want to play in Nigeria, for instance, or to be able to offer Nigerians a particular kind of service or solve a particular problem for Nigerians. You also definitely need to take into account the way the Nigerian market will work. Because, for instance, let me use a payment example. If someone is trying to solve a payment problem in Nigeria, and the person in Nigeria, at least cash is still king, right? So you have to take into account that the fact that cash is king still, and that our payment most dominant mode of payment is actually card, right? But if you're going to take that same business into, say, the Ghanaian or Kenyan market, you know that after cash, their most dominant is Momo and M-Pesa, right? So it can be a part of the business requirement document, yes. Okay, Adeji says, is it necessary to write a PRD after writing a BRD? Yes, it is. I don't even believe a BRD should be written by the product manager. I believe it should be written by the organization or the business team, the people saying this is what we want to achieve. And from that BRD, then the product manager comes up with a product requirement to say that this is how we're going to achieve what we have said we want to achieve in the business requirement document. So yes, it is necessary. Okay. I'm going to, thank you. You're welcome. Thank you very much as well. I'm going to wait for like 2 more minutes for any more questions that anyone might have.
So while we're waiting, thank you very much, Omotayo, for the time sharing with us. Okay. While we're waiting for that, if anyone has more questions, I like that people on the call share some feedback with Omotayo about the session. So one of the cultures that we have at Treford is we always make sure to share feedback with our facilitators and speakers at the end of every session about how they did and how they could probably do better. Yeah, so I'm going to share a link now in the chat box where we can share some feedback about the session. Okay, Abdul is asking about roadmap. Is it along the line of crafting BRD? So no. I think, Abdul, you have a very pressing need of there's a very pressing need that is ongoing. Would you care to unmute your mic and talk about what exactly is, you are asking a lot of questions and it seems you have a very pressing need. Do you care to unmute your mic and ask your question so that we are able to just answer it? You've asked a series of questions. Could you yes, just speak.
Yeah, thank you so much. I am having some kind of confusion when it comes to that strategic aspect of product. Actually, I think I'm more of a technical PM, like knowing SQL, data, and all that. But coming to that aspect of strategy in product management, I am having some challenges, and I am having some kind of confusion when it comes to all these. For example, the question I asked about product requirement document, if it's part of the strategy or what, something like that. Yeah. So that's why I asked.
So what exactly is the confusion that you're having?
Actually, like the questions I asked now, the question I asked about a product roadmap, if it's part of a business requirement document, or is it something I'm asking of the time where we start making a product roadmap and things that should be included in that roadmap. Is it part of the strategy as well? Yeah, I just want to know things that are revolving around product strategy like that.
No, I don't think your product roadmap is part of your strategy. That's tricky. It can be, right? Because you can say, you can have your obviously strategy feeds into what makes you select what you're building at what time. And what your product roadmap really is just saying, how are we building this product? What are we building when, right? And your strategy also speaks generally to how overall the product is going to be handled from the engineering side, from the marketing side, from the pricing, from the everything. But your roadmap just talks about what you're building when. Do you get what I mean? So it can be a part of your product strategy, right? Your product strategy can be the overall, this is everything about the product, right? And then you have your requirements. So your requirement says, this is how the product will be, this is how it will look. Your roadmap says, this is when we are going to build it. This is what we are going to build already in the product requirement document. Roadmap says, this is when we're going to build each of these things that we've said we're going to build. Then you can have your marketing strategy. This is how we're going to market it into the market, launch it into the market. You can have your pricing strategy. This is how we're going to price, and this is how much revenue we think we're going to make. You can have your, compliance and legal, this or partnerships strategy. These are the people we need to work with for the product, all that. So if is the product roadmap, is it a part of is an independent document? Yes, but it can also be a part of your product strategy, because your product strategy really is about everything about your product, how to be, how to work, how you envision it happening, how you envision it in the market and all that. Does that answer your question? Does that clarify?
Yes, it answered my question. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Yeah, Thompson says if someone wishes to switch career to product management, where would you advise one starts? Favor, I think this is for you.
Yeah, so I will advise you to this is a very, 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 I will advise you to start Treford. We have product management boot camps, where you can learn how to, what it takes and how to navigate your how to be a product manager, or the basic things you need to be a product manager. But beyond that, there are resources everywhere online. You could just I can refer you to our YouTube page. Quite a number of contents there. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you can see the response chart. Quite a number of people on the call who have gone through the Treford boot camp themselves, where they learned about product management, and they are practicing product managers at the moment. So I will always recommend Treford as a place to go. But right now, today, what can you do to get started? Start reading blogs online. You can check out Treford on YouTube and check the product management playlist to see a couple of things there. You can check out several articles and resources online to get acquainted with, what is the expectation of being a product manager and what you'll be doing as a product manager, and the skill sets required to become a product manager. And from there, start building them through little small activities you can do from day to day. Yes, and that's the beginning of the journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope that's something.
Okay. So thank you, everyone, for your time and for listening to me rant today.
It's good to have you, Omotayo. So let's share some feedback with Omotayo as we round up the session today. We're going to have a quick survey of 3 questions. So we're going to have 3 questions, and I just dropped the link into the chat box where we can ask Omotayo a couple of questions. Where we can give Omotayo a couple of feedback about the session so far. So let's go to the chat box and share some feedback via this link. All right. There are 2 questions on this poll, on the survey. Okay, the key takeaway: a manager needs hard skills and a leader needs soft skills. Good one. I did a lot. All my confusion is waste about product strategy. Thank you. Awesome. Just to make the recording available after the class. If you go to the YouTube, it's already on there. We are live streaming straight into YouTube. So you will see all of this. You will see your comment on YouTube as well. So you can just go to Treford. Just put Treford on YouTube, you see there. Yeah, let's have more. Let's have more feedback being shared. Let's share more feedback, please, via the charts. You can just click on the link. If you're on your laptop, you can scan the barcode or just visit slido.com and input the code 3669376 to share your feedback for the session. Looking forward to getting more feedback from everyone. Yes, more feedback is coming. Oh, Eunice, hello, how are you doing? I see Eunice there.
Hi, Stephen.
Hi, it's good to have you on the call.
Yeah, but I feel like I enjoyed it.
Oh,
Just I
that's
came in a bit late. I didn't start from the beginning. But from the part I was able to listen. So I was like, thank you, Amotaya. Thank you.
Thank you, Ines. You're welcome. Thank you for joining in.
Yeah, it's great. Okay, let's see more feedback. This session, I was looking for a while. So to answer my question regardless of watching YouTube. Okay, great. The importance of product requirement document. All right, slides availability and giveaway. Okay, come on. You can set up a product marketing tool. Something, there might just be something around the corner. Keep your eyes peeled on all our platforms, at Treford Group on Twitter, at Treford Group on Instagram, Treford on LinkedIn, and Treford on YouTube. There might just be something for you. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Yeah, thank you very much for everyone who shared their feedback today. I'm going to stop the recording now. Yeah, as well as live.